Hare Krishna devotees, welcome to Shloka a Day. Today's Shloka, Shloka number 37 of chapter 18. Yattad agre visham iva
Yattat agre visham iva
pariname mritopamam
pariname mritopamam
tat sukham satvikam proktam
tat sukham satvikam proktam
atma buddhi prasadajam.
atma buddhi prasadajam.
Word for word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yat,
Yat
which,
which
tat,
tat
that,
that
agre,
agre
in the beginning,
in the beginning,
visham iva,
visham iva
like poison,
like poison,
pariname,
pariname
at the end,
at the end,
amrita,
amrita
nectar,
nectar,
upamam,
upamam
compared to,
compared to
tat,
that
sukham,
sukham
happiness,
happiness,
satvikam,
satvikam
in the mode of goodness,
in the mode of goodness,
proktam,
proktam
is said,
is said,
atma,
atma
in the self,
in the self,
buddhi,
buddhi
of intelligence,
of intelligence,
prasadajam,
prasadajam
born of the satisfaction.
born of the satisfaction.
Translation: that which in the beginning
That which in the beginning
may be just like poison,
may be just like poison,
but at the end is just like nectar,
but at the end is just like nectar,
and which awakens one
and which awakens one
to self-realization,
to self-realization,
is said to be in happiness,
is said to be in happiness
in the mode of goodness.
in the mode of goodness.
It's a very fascinating shloka, an interesting shloka. Prabhupada writes, in the pursuit of self-realization, one has to follow many rules and regulations to control the mind and the senses, and to concentrate the mind on the self. All these procedures are very difficult, bitter like poison. But if one is successful in following the regulations and comes to the transcendental position, he begins to drink real nectar and he enjoys life. When we go into the commentary of His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, the comparisons that he makes will really enliven us in terms of what this shloka actually means. But from another parampara, the Vedas refer to happiness in the mode of goodness as Shreya, which is unpleasant in the present, but ultimately beneficial. In contrast to this is Preyas, which is pleasant in the beginning, but ultimately harmful. Regarding Shreya and Preya, the Kathopanishad states, Anya chachreyonya dutaiva preyaste ubhe nanarthe purusham sinitaha tayo shreya adodanasya sadhu bhavati hi yaterthadhya yo yupriyo vrinite shreyascha preyascha manushyame tastau samparitya vivinakti dhiraha shreyo hi dhiro bhi preyaso vrinite preyo mando yogakshemat vrinite. There are two paths. One is the beneficial and the other is the pleasant. These two lead humans to very different ends. The pleasant is enjoyable in the beginning, but it ends in pain. The ignorant are snared to the pleasant and perish. But the wise are not deceived by its attractions, choose the beneficial, and finally attain happiness. A child playing is natural. This is a commentary of Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. But studying requires discipline and effort. And when the child starts the joy of learning, he learns more and more. And in that way, the child starts relishing higher happiness. Similarly, in goodness also, initially there may not be pleasure, but as one starts moving forward, one starts experiencing higher pleasure. That higher pleasure is talked about as pariname mritopamam. Another example is treatment by the doctor. So the result, pariname, is important, which is ultimately sukha, amrita. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in the Shikshashtakam as Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadhanam, which means this Sankirtan at every step, Pratipadam, is Purnamrita Swadhanam, is complete nectar. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not talking about in the beginning it is poison and later nectar. He is saying it is complete nectar. This is, of course, at a later stage in Shikshashtaka, the various effects of Sankirtan are described. So this is one of the last results. At the spiritual level, the whole process is constantly ecstatic. The reciprocation of love, the engagement in service is all profoundly ecstatic. Till we come to the spiritual level, things may not be ecstatic. It is a struggle for sadhakas. We have to go through that struggle, and it is not easy. But once we come to the siddha level, then there is no pariname amrita. It is completely amrita. So for beginning sadhakas, even the sadhana is like poison in the beginning, waking up early in the morning, chanting your rounds, observing Ekadesi fast. Everything seems like it's very difficult, exactly as what Prabhupada had written in that beautiful short purport. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying everything about bhakti is sweet from the beginning to end. There's no bitterness. But that is experienced by great devotees, by pure devotees. As mentioned by Srila Rupa Goswami, a jaundiced patient cannot taste the sweetness of sugarcane juice. Similarly, now we cannot taste the sweetness of Krishna. But as we become purified, we will be able to taste the sweetness of Krishna. The nature of poison in beginning and nectar in end applies to one in the mode of goodness, as well as one in transcendence. So as a sadhaka, we should not be always in pleasure-searching mentality. If at all we have to be in searching mentality, it has to be in service-searching mentality. In the sense, instead of searching for pleasure, you should be searching for service. How can I serve Krishna? In some way or the other, we can always serve. At least we can chant or remember Krishna internally. Pariname mritopamam. We should be looking for pariname amrita. Example, should be looking for ruchi, taste. At this stage, we are giving pleasure to Krishna through our service. And when we do that, naturally, we will get pleasure. So for us, pleasure comes through service. So how do you endure the phases of tastelessness in bhakti? So this also happens to sadhakas. Sometimes they're really, really motivated and sometimes they're not. When we start practicing bhakti yoga, we may expect to relish great joy because we are connecting with the one who is the source of all joy, the all-attractive Supreme Krishna. The Bhagavad Gita in Shloka 2 of the 9th chapter assures that bhakti yoga is joyful. However, we may find that our bhakti practice is sometimes tasteless. Why is that? Because the taste in bhakti comes when we connect with Krishna, when we offer our consciousness to him in a mood of loving service. Unfortunately, our consciousness is presently contaminated by many impurities. Due to these impurities, we feel tempted by some worldly things, seeing them as sources of irresistible pleasure. Or we feel threatened by other worldly things, seeing them as sources of unbearable trouble. So both extremes, right? Either we're trying to avoid pain or we're seeking pleasure. When we are thus tempted or threatened or otherwise distracted, our connection with Krishna gets interrupted. And so we can't relish bhakti. These impurities are our spiritual disease. And the cure for the disease is to somehow or the other connect with all pure Krishna. For that connection will drive away the impurities. During this purificatory phase, when we are striving to connect with Krishna, we need to see our bhakti practice as a medicinal dose. That is, We practice bhakti not for its taste, but for its effect. If we thus keep practicing bhakti, we will be cleansed of our impurities and we will start connecting with Krishna more steadily. By that connection, we will become better absorbed in Him, thereby relishing devotion naturally, joyfully, eternally. Then the same medicinal dose will be revealed to be a nectar drink, or in the Gita's poetic language, what tastes like poison initially will eventually taste like nectar. In conclusion, to endure phases of tastelessness in bhakti, treat it as a medicinal dose and it will duly transform into a nectar drink. So in this particular shloka, Krishna is talking about sukham, happiness, and happiness in the three modes. And Krishna has described what happiness is like in the mode of goodness, which is you have to endure difficult things in the beginning, which will seem like poison to you, but in the end, it tastes like nectar and it creates a good foundation for self-realization.
If you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel and turn on the bell notification. If you'd like to join our classes every day, please check the details in the description section of this video. We look forward to serving you.